welcome to Texas. I actually was in your beautiful state 2 weeks ago, I think, for a multitude of events, and we were together a few weeks even before that. So I enjoy coming to your state.
We know that, Governor.
But I tell people on a regular basis, California is one of the most beautiful places I've ever been in my life. And as much as we have fun with the competition side of it's like probably USC and UCLA with their competition and good-hearted, but it's real and it makes them stronger. We want California to succeed. I mean, the fact is, we need a strong California in this country. I think one of your former governors and our former President Ronald Reagan said that excellence demands competition. And that's how I look at this relationship. And there's still a lot we have that we can learn from California. We were out in Silicon Valley sitting down with the Dean of School of Engineering and the Dean of Business at Stanford. They have a model that for 40 years has served so well as a catalyst for economic prosperity and innovation at that university and the surrounding. One of you, who is it, has, or you, who has San Jose? It's in there. Is one of you? There's not. I thought one of the representatives had it.
Carl Gardino represents Silicon Valley leadership.
Yeah, that's. I'm sorry, I was moved up the ledge. Brought him into the assembly. I knew there was somebody from Silicon Valley representative here, but I think the people of California are frankly lucky to have a guy like you serving in the assembly forum, and look, the way our system is set up, there are things that you do in California that wouldn't work out here, and there's things that we do in Texas that wouldn't work in California. I think that's the beauty, Governor, of the 10th Amendment, of letting the states compete against each other, and but it's the allowing us to be the laboratories of innovation is what I think is so important. It's one of the reasons that I am very critical, very vocal in that criticism of the federal government from the standpoint of one size fits all. I've visited with Governor Brown about the concept of being able to block grant Medicaid so that you all could sit there and say, what is the best way for us to deliver health care in California? Because the fact is that maintenance of effort clause in the health care bill is going to be really onerous to a state like California in particular. I mean, it's tough on us as well, but for a state that has a very rich historic program, it gives you no flexibility. So, that's one of the things that, and I really appreciate you all coming. I think that having the visual of legislative leaders sitting down together and saying, okay, I can promise you, I'm going to pick up something new that you all are doing, and I'm going to try it here in the state of Texas. I'm going to get something out of this meeting. I hope you all do the same, that there are some things that we're attempting to do or that we're doing in the state of Texas that can help the state of California be more competitive. And if you're more competitive, then you're going to be more economically stable. I'm pretty simplistic about what we have put in place in the state of Texas. I know the members of the media here, if I asked RG, he could probably state the platform verbatim because he's heard it so many times. when you talk about keeping taxes low, having a regulatory climate that is fair and predictable. Predictability in the regulatory world is so important. A company's going to come in to Texas and they're going to invest $1.8 billion in some physical plant, and they are concerned that in 2 or 4 years the regulatory climate is going to be changed from these standards to this standard, then they may not come. But if they feel comfortable that there's a track record, there's a commitment to stability in the regulatory climate. And that's not to say that you have to at all lower your standards, but the predictability of here's the rules, and they're going to be the same. We obviously passed some tort reform back in, matter of fact, we copied California part of it. Yes, sir. In 2003, we came out and snitched a good idea that you all had put in place and implemented it here in the state of Texas. We are trying to pass loser pays in the state of Texas as we speak. And simply put is that if you get frivolously sued, the judge can either dump it out very quickly, or if you're given both sides to the lawful seller, can go forward, and if you chose not to settle and you lose, and you get to pay their legal cost and court cost. So that would make a huge difference, I think, from the standpoint of stability, again, to the business community in particular. And still, those that have been wrong, certainly, I mean, the argument, that it's going to limit a person's day in court is just nonsense. That's not the case. If you've been harmed, then you're going to have a good case and it's going to go forward. So, I mean, that's the the taxes, the regulatory side, the legal side. Obviously, continuing to accountable public schools is really important, so that you have a skilled workforce, and that's been kind of get out of the way and let the private sector do what the private sector does best. There are two things that have happened just in the last couple of days that are, and take these as just factual. I'm not trying to say, hey, we're Texas and we're winning the race. Texas has a very competitive economic environment right now, particularly relative to the other big states. But I promise you, my friend Rick Scott is over there trying to figure out how he's going to come get jobs out of Texas or develop the environment in Florida where those businesses will expand or relocate there. Andrew Cuomo is making some I think some darn smart choices up in New York, and California is going to be interesting to see. I don't think Jerry Brown wants California to fail on his watch, and he's going to work hard to find the solutions. And I think you all being here is a great indicator that, listen, something over the years hadn't worked as well as it could. I'm not going to sit here in front of you and tell you we've done it perfect, Gavin, but we've certainly put a process in place that's worked well. So with that, just let me say, Dan, I'm going to let you take it over here just a second and say a few words, but at the core, our approach is pretty simple, is that you keep a business climate in place. I tell people regularly that, and I make no apologies, I am a pro-business government. Because the fact is, keeping a business climate that sends a message to the men and women in the business community that you can risk your capital and know that you're going to have a fair chance to have a good return on the investment, single most important thing that government does. A lot of people get confused and say, oh, the most important thing government does is educate our children, or have a safety net for those who can't take care of themselves, or build transportation infrastructure, or we got a 1,200-mile border with Mexico that from time to time it is very dangerous. Secure our border, public safety, all of those are important. But the most important thing government does is have the effect of keeping a positive business climate in the state. Because if you do not do that first, you can't do these others very long. So with that, Dan, let me say thank you for coming. And
thank you, Governor.
happy
We're
to host you.
very honored to have you host us today. And we have a tremendous delegation here from California, a bipartisan group. And the reason we're here primarily is one principal reason, and that is California in the last 3 years lost 1.2 million jobs, and Texas created 163,000 jobs. So we're not here to talk really about the budget, the environment, or tourism. We're here to talk about primarily jobs because, like you said earlier, if you don't grow the economy, everything else doesn't matter pretty much. You have to grow the economy. And so we're primarily here for one reason, that is to meet with businesses that used to be in California, that uprooted their family, uprooted their businesses, and moved nearly 2,000 miles to a state that allows them to compete on a national and a global scale. And that's what our leader, Connie Conway, wants to have happen. Our Lieutenant Governor would like to see happen in our entire caucus. And so we believe that in order to fix our budget, we have to grow the economy like Ronald Reagan said, and like Ronald Reagan did. So I'd like to turn it over to our Republican leader, Connie Conway.
Thanks, Dan. Thank you so much, Governor. I really appreciate the opportunity to come and visit with you. I understand you're a frequent flyer to California. I just haven't caught you on the day you were there so that we could meet, but I'm happy to do that today. And I really, in particular, appreciate your hospitality. My friends from Dallas would say, "Oh, y'all do it very well." So we appreciate that. But as you spoke, I certainly, the best practices approach that you mentioned is key to so much that we do, learning from each other. And that's why we're here, is that exchange and what can we learn. But I will tell you during your remarks, I think you have some kindred spirits here on both sides of the aisle. As I watched my colleagues nodding in approval of your business plan, if you will, that you've kind of laid out of how you do business here in Texas, and we greatly appreciate that, and we appreciate this opportunity and the time, and we hope to listen and learn and take back a solid message to all of California about what's right in the world and how we can be a bigger part of that. So thank you very much.
Lieutenant Governor, please.
No, thank you, Governor, for hosting us, and thank you to leadership in this room. And it's an honor to be here as a newly elected Lieutenant Governor, but someone who had the pragmatic responsibility as a former mayor of getting things done, regardless of party. For me, that was secondary to actually doing the job. And at a time of stasis, a time when Democrats and Republicans aren't necessarily seen eye to eye in our state on the budget, I think it's incumbent upon us to focus not just on the immediate challenge at hand, but to focus on the future. And California has always been in the future business. And in our proud past, we've been in the how business, how to get things done, how to implement ideas. We're an innovative economy, an entrepreneurial one, a creative one, at our best. The thing that I think defines the best of California is the strength and concentration of human capital. Truly some of the best and brightest minds around the world. But in some respects, we've rested on our laurels. In some respects, we've just sort of sat around waiting for folks to come knocking on our door, and then folks like you come along, and you've been knocking on a lot of doors. And candidly, the reason I came out here was out of frustration and admiration for some of the work you've been doing. I'm sick and tired. I say this lovingly, don't take it the wrong way. Press might, but it wasn't intentional. But I said, sick and tired of Governor Perry coming to California all the time. When I hear about you making thank you calls to businesses that open up in the state, hats off. You don't hear that a lot from elected leaders. And we need to get back in the business of jobs. And that's, again, not a party identity. I'm a pro-job Democrat, and you can't be pro-job and anti-business. And I'm proud to have come from the private sector and created a few jobs myself, close to 1,000. So I know a thing or two about this, but my party needs to get back into the game, and we need to be aggressive. Governor Brown is going to do it. I'm not just sucking up doing my job as Lieutenant Governor. He gets it.
And I agree with you. I mean, Jerry and I have talked enough. He does.
Did you push him along?
No,
We need him to get there faster.
And we're kind of focused on the Medicaid side of this thing. I'm not trying to get spread out further than I need to be. I mean, he and I have had very pointed and good conversations about this Medicaid issue, and the problem it is, not just in California but across the country. But for the big states, if we do not get the flexibility of being able to block grant and use, let me tell you, I know for a fact that innovative minds and people in California will come up with a better way to deliver health care to their citizens than what they will in Washington, D.C. And again, that's just a, sorry.
Former mayor that
Yeah.
delivered health care.
Yeah.
So we came up with some, I think,
Yeah.
very innovative ideas. But laboratories of innovation, you say it well. I mean, it's not, we talk about states as laboratories of democracy, cities as laboratories of innovation, but the notion that states can get in the innovation business is exactly the
And
direction.
here's just a good cautionary, and this cropped up over the last 12 months, as I was having conversations with some folks, and I obviously am not bashful about criticizing Washington, D.C. And a Washington person had the comment to me. It was Newt Gingrich. He had given a speech at the same place I had, and he said, Governor, he said, one thing I just want to mention to you, he said, you were absolutely correct about taking Washington to task on them telling you how to do their business, or to do your business, whether it's in healthcare or it's in education or it's in transportation infrastructure or health or in, it's all these different areas of which Washington has decided that they know best. But he said, remember this, if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. He said, you need to make sure that you in Austin, Texas are not mandating things on the cities and the counties and not funding. So,
Hey, man, as a mayor of a county, not just a city, I understand that.
you get that.
Of course.
And so we've gone back to a select group of superintendents of schools and of county judges and mayors, sheriffs, and basically said, send us a list of mandates that came out of Austin, Texas. You know what? I'm sure at the time they looked good, they sounded good, but in a time of economic distress and with the challenges that we've got economically, can't we, at least for 2 years, say, you know what? If these were costing more than benefit, let's just either temporarily or permanently remove them. And that is one of the things from an assembly standpoint that you all could really probably help your cities and counties with, and all the different things that, you know, I don't know your business that well, but I figured your legislators aren't different than ours in that sense. That there have been some great ideas that cost money that didn't get funded.
The biggest problem that I have in Sacramento is when we talk to businesses to come to California, they always say ABC, anywhere but California. And we're ranked last by CEO Magazine to compete. And so we're here today, and I commend the Lieutenant Governor for stepping out and our Republican leader for taking the steps that we need to take to try to bring jobs back, to keep the jobs that we have. And so this is not a bash California meeting. This is just say, we're looking for answers, and I believe that the answers will lie with the businesses that have come to your state.
We'll talk about bashing California when we play in basketball. Yeah,